Welcome to the Floyd Hill Project public meeting. My name is Jonathan Barch. I'm part of the project team. It's an honor to be here this evening. The way in which this will work is that we're going to make a presentation. There will be a number of presenters, and then we're going to have some time for comment. And we want to hear your comments or questions associated with that. And then we'll go back to the open house where you have the members of the project team, the experts, to help answer more specific questions. So once again, welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Mickelbust, the CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, Region 1 Transportation Director. Jessica.
Good evening. Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us. I'm Jessica Mickelbust. I'm the CDOT Region 1 Transportation Director. It's great to see you all here tonight. The I-70 Floyd Hill project has been many years in the making. From the initial scoping to completion of the National Environmental Policy Act, finding of no significant impact, which is a mouthful recently, that just occurred. What a big milestone. We're now getting ready for construction to begin early summer of 2023. We're all really excited to finally be at this point. We wanted to gather the community this evening to give you an advanced preview of the project, the benefits it will deliver, how we will maintain safety, what you can expect, and how we will build it. We will plan to have another touch point with all of you as we get closer to breaking ground. Moving the project forward was due to the collective effort by many partners, including elected officials, local, state, and federal agencies, environmental, recreation groups, first responders, and many community organizations, including many of you in this room. We would not be here today without their input and without your input and your support and ultimately endorsement of the project. While there is a lot of energy around this project, and while we feel like we've been waiting decades for these improvements, there still may be some feelings of uncertainty lingering. You might be wondering, how will construction impact my daily life? What will traffic be like? What will the project look like when it's done? How will safety be maintained? Who can I talk to if I have questions? We are here tonight to help answer some of those questions for you. We also are curious about some of those things as well and are excited to see how the project will look, but also unsure at some points of how we're going to get there, but we will. We understand at CDOT that projects of this size and magnitude can seem daunting. We have put a lot of thought into the details, into the impacts, into the benefits of the project. And we have open ears and we want to hear your feedback and try and answer your questions. Please make sure to pick up a contact card from a representative here tonight so you know how to stay in touch with us. To that end, I would like to introduce a good partner of CDOT's and someone that I have gotten the pleasure of knowing over the last several years, Clear Creek County Commissioner Randy Wheelock.
I left my talking points at home, so just let me know when I'm done. My name is Randy Wheelock. I'm a Clear Creek County Commissioner. I'll be County Commissioner for about 22 months and 3 days for East County. I have been involved on the I-70 project for a long time, and in particular, particularly on the Floyd Hill project. And there are just about 4 ideas I'd like to get across this evening that I think would help a lot of people to know, and many of you have already worked on the teams designing this project and are aware of that. The first is that this is a necessary project. It was identified in the record of decision as a portion of the minimum program, specific projects, and it was seen at that time that it was absolutely necessary to eliminate what would ultimately be now the 3-2-3 situation we have, the 2 being the 2 lanes in the center, between the peak period shoulder lanes when they're open and the 3 lanes to the east. And the result of that is a traffic jam that backs up all the way to C-470 at times. And we know that. We know it'll go bumper to bumper all the way back. And for those environmentalists in the crowd, which includes most of us, and I think of myself the same way, we know that we have to evolve transportation systems that work far into the future and don't rely forever on 100-year-old technology or 120-year-old technology. But this is a piece of pavement that works and is necessary in order to try to free this up. And it will be able to therefore give us our frontage roads back so that the people can get home on Floyd Hill. It will help the people that need to be able to commute and use our frontage roads and our emergency equipment as well. And so that's why we need to do this one. I would also like to point out, though, that it won't come, it is an environmental project, it's a necessary project, and has been identified as such for a decade and a half to 2 decades. But we know that it will come with some pain, and as a result, we have CDOT's commitment to work using adaptive management to not only try to keep this thing flowing during peak periods for economic reasons, but also to make sure that our own county, for both economic reasons and quality of life during construction, are going to be able to, as to the greatest extent possible, be able to get here to this school, be able to get to work in Denver, to be able to do the things you need to do while this project goes on. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to come with some pain, but in the end, it will return some more of our frontage road to us and make things better. And I'd also like everyone to know that this has not happened without a collaborative process that has gone on for a long time. Clear Creek County and the rest of the I-70 corridor has really been pioneers in the CSS, context-sensitive solutions process, and have made a national name for ourselves over several projects for a long time in creating the record of decision and in managing projects like this. And as a result, neighborhoods like Floyd Hill have had representatives on the technical teams and PLTs for about project leadership teams for around 6 years. Idaho Springs, the county itself have had officials and representatives here in meetings, and there have been literally millions of words said in thousands of hours and hundreds of meetings over the last several years to get to this point on the project where we've been able to actually let the locals inform the engineers to make better projects, and CDOT engineers tell us all the way to the top that they get better projects because of operating this way now. And it also helps us understand when the compromises are made and we have to endure the pain, at least we understand why it was built that way, because we've had people at the table the whole time influencing the project to make it a better project, and then we know why it's being done and how it's being done the best way possible. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to somebody else who can talk a little more about some other things that CDOT's doing in the collaborative process, and that's Margaret Bose, who I've worked with for many years, and we both had knee surgery 2 days apart, by the way, and but hers was worse than mine. But sorry if that was a HIPAA violation. She's the executive director of the I-70 Coalition, has been working for a long time, and is one of the smartest women I know. Thank you.
Wow. I like that introduction. Thank you, Commissioner Wheelock. As he said, I'm Margaret Bose. I'm director of the I-70 Coalition, which is a nonprofit organization that's represented by 28 businesses and local governments throughout the Mountain Corridor. And I also want to point out that Commissioner Wheelock is also vice chair of the I-70 Coalition and has provided great leadership for the organization for many years. So the coalition advocates for I-70 infrastructure projects, and it was several years ago that the organization identified Floyd Hill as one of the top priority project. The organization also develops and implements strategies that can reduce single occupancy vehicles on the I-70 Mountain Corridor, knowing that the best way to decrease congestion through the corridor is to increase transit ridership. So this is why we've advocated for and supported many of the initiatives to get people out of their personal vehicles and into transit. So bus staying, snow staying, Outrider, and the new Pegasus shuttle system are all provide Colorado tourists, visitors, our Front Range residents, an option to visit some of the best Colorado mountain towns and resorts. And those services also provide mountain residents with a car-free connection to the Denver metro area and other great destinations in the state. The fact that the West Line between Denver and Grand Junction has consistently the highest ridership of the entire bus staying system throughout the state really demonstrates the strong willingness and the strong demand for transit through the Mountain Corridor. So we commit to working with CDOT to encourage the use of these different services, both during construction of this project, but beyond, to make a dent in both I-70 congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. So we are very excited to see the Floyd Hill project get underway and really look forward to the many benefits you're going to hear about tonight, the many benefits it will bring to I-70 travelers, to corridor residents in terms of increased mobility. So now I will pass it over to Kurt Kianka. He's the CDOT I-70 project director, and he will dive into some more of the details of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, and I want to thank you all for attending tonight and being engaged in the project. I'm Kurt Kianka, the Floyd Hill Project Director, and I know there is a lot of information here tonight. There's a lot of stuff on the boards. You're going to hear a lot of stuff from our presenters, but if there's three things that I want everybody to take away tonight, they are these three. So first, that the project is needed. I-70 is the primary east-west route in Colorado, and it's a heavy freight corridor. It provides access to and from our world-class mountains. It is probably, for a lot of people in this room, it is commuting to and from work. And this specific area of I-70 is a bottleneck. It is congested. And you know, as you come from the east to the west, it drops from 3 lanes to 2 lanes as you go down Floyd Hill, and that leads to extensive backups on Thursdays, Fridays, weekends, holidays, you know, and this project addresses a lot of that. And it also addresses the safety concerns in the area. For example, when you go down Floyd Hill, there are 2 structurally deficient bridges that have reached the end of their life. And it replaces those with brand new structures that are up to current standards. Those curves at the bottom of the hill are, the design speed on them is less than 45 miles an hour. And we are bringing it up to 55 miles an hour and addressing sight distance and also upgrading shoulders through the corridor. The second thing that I want you all to take away from this meeting is that we are committed to keep traffic moving during construction. So, thank you. So what that means that during those peak times, all lanes that are there today will be open. Any lane closures that we have will be during those off-peak times, and during the day, we might have a traffic hold for a blasting activity, something along those lines, but we will do those during the off-peak hours. Now, that's not to say there won't be some impacts due to construction with narrowed lanes, narrowed shoulders. It is very typical of a project that we deliver across the state, but we are committed to keeping traffic moving so that you can go where you need to go. And the third thing that I want everybody to take away from this meeting tonight is this is a collaborative project. This is not being designed in a back room somewhere. You know, Randy mentioned it, and I appreciate it. You know, we have an outstanding group of stakeholders. Many of them are here tonight who have put countless hours and effort into working with us as we design the project in the different elements. A lot of the elements that you see on these boards today have been directly impacted by our stakeholders in our tech team in our meetings that we have. And so this is a collaborative effort. You know, we are sensitive to the community and the environment in this corridor. And so now moving to some of our early projects. So we have a handful of early projects that address safety and mobility out in front of the main Floyd Hill project. And so some of those, if you drive the corridor now, you start to see some of the construction. We have a wildlife crossing that is under construction now at Genesee. We also have roundabouts that have started at US 40 and Homestead and US 40 and County Road 65. And then we also have a wildlife crossing that is slated to go to construction later this summer at Empire. And then the final early project that we have is a Pegasus transit stop at El Rancho, and that will add to the network of Pegasus locations for stops along the corridor. So the need for the project, I talked a little bit about that, but this is a congested corridor. You know, one of the big things that's unique about this corridor is that it's not resilient. And what that means is it's the only way through here. The detours to get through here if I-70 is closed and you can't get through are extensive. And so one of the components of this project will add a connection from the bottom of Floyd Hill at the US 6 interchange and tie that into County Road 314 at the Hidden Valley Central City interchange. And so I think that will provide a benefit to the residents in the community. It'll also provide a resilient access for emergency responders and another way if the road is closed due to an accident. So moving on to our timeline. Jessica mentioned it. We are moving towards construction, and we are slated to begin construction in June of this year. And Floyd Hill is a CMGC project, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but we are delivering it in packages. And so we have 3 primary packages that we are delivering Floyd Hill. The first package, which we are calling the east section, starts on the east end of the project in between County Road 65 and Homestead and continues the majority of the way down Floyd Hill. And that will start in June of this year. Package 2 is our west section, and that is everything from Hidden Valley Central City interchange to exit 241, which is that first exit as you go to the west for Idaho Springs. And our third package is our west package is slated to begin construction late this fall. Our third package is our central section. So that's everything from most of the way down Floyd Hill around to Hidden Valley Central City interchange. And that is slated to go to construction in early 2024. And so as I mentioned, this is a CMGC project. So what does that mean? The typical project with CDOT is what we call design bid build. We develop the plans, we design them, then we advertise them to the contracting community, and we take the low bid, and then we move into construction. CMGC is a little bit different. So at the beginning of last year, we selected a construction manager, which is Kramer, North America, and they are basically alongside us as we design the project. And there are several benefits to that. We get the whole construction side of it, contracting side of it, as we work through the design elements. And we get to hear, what will work in construction and what are challenges, and there's refinements and things that are cost savings to the project and different refinements that provide benefit to the project. And that has led to a lot of different innovations, because we're constantly engaged throughout the project. And the other component of CMGC is we can deliver it in packages. So we don't have to design the whole thing. For example, in our central section, we're only at about 30% design in our central section, but we are going to go with 100% design in our east section. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to our CDOT construction manager, Jeff Hampton, and he's going to give you a little bit more detail on the project improvements.
All right, good evening, everyone. Happy to be back up here at the school again. I know I see a lot of familiar faces. I've been up here for almost 5 years now. I was a project engineer on the westbound PPSL project, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. But diving in here, Kurt talked about a lot of the improvements that we're making for the project, obviously, and Commissioner Wheelock referenced the bottleneck. So that third westbound travel lane is going to help that process. It's a full-time tolled express lane, but that's going to give us that trip reliability that everybody so desires. So you're going to know somebody coming out of Denver on a Saturday morning to go skiing, I'm going to know how quickly I can get to the resorts and then have a place to stop on my way home. Constructing the frontage road between US 6 and the Hidden Valley Central City Parkway interchange. Again, we all know that issue, that left-hand ramp coming up right at the bottom of the hill. Everybody stops right there. Okay, by moving that 6th Avenue traffic a little bit further to the west, creating an intersection that handles that traffic better, it's going to help that movement be a lot more fluid and keep folks moving in the right direction. The extended on-ramp I just talked about on US 6 going west, we're also going to do one eastbound. Okay, it's going to come almost all the way to the top of the hill so that the trucks coming up aren't impacting the traffic moving their way along in those continuous lanes. All right, so from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, truck traffic is going to have a way to take their time, get up to speed, and get merged in instead of doing it down at the bottom. Improving the Clear Creek Greenway Trail. It's not just a highway project. We're going to be doing some stuff off the highway as well to improve that experience. Okay, concrete trail all the way through. We're looking at alternatives on how we work with the rafting community as well to make sure that we're improving the experience that they have and being involved. We also have folks on our PLT from Aqua and Fish and Wildlife. We're looking at this from all angles to make sure that all of the folks that use these resources are getting a better experience from this project. Lastly, the implementing environmental mitigations to enhance safe wildlife movements, air and water quality, stream conditions, recreation, okay, all of the same things. We're putting deer fence in some areas of the project to help keep animals from crossing. Okay, that's part of this project. I know Kurt already mentioned the early projects. Those are all wildlife oriented, okay? Making sure that there's safe passage through those animals, through the project limits, away from the highway, so that we don't have those issues on the interstate. The mitigation commitments that we have here and just minimizing the project's impact on the surrounding environment. Again, I was up here for westbound PPSL. It is ingrained in me how important that environment is to what we're doing and how we do it in construction. So making sure that we're doing things right and we're not having an adverse effect on what we do at the end of the project and even during construction. You know, it's a lot of equipment, a lot of extra people. We're going to have those mitigation things in place to make sure that we're taking care of the stuff around us. So during construction, this was the big one. I know Kurt got a clap for telling you that we're going to keep traffic moving. I'm the guy that has to make sure it keeps going. So, you know, and it does. Thanks, Mary Jane. It stops with me. So, you know, if traffic's not moving, I'm the guy that has to answer for it. And all these folks have my phone number, so I'm going to hear it from them too. But I get it, okay? I spent 2.5 years building a project up here already. I understand the traffic. I understand the needs of the communities. So we are going to work together to make sure that when we do have impacts, y'all know, okay? Commissioner Wheelock said it. There's going to be a little bit of pain, all right? We have to stop traffic to blast rocks. Sorry. You know, you might have some folks that you might want under those rocks. I can't do that, all right? So we're going to make sure things are done safe and they're done right, and that is going to involve traffic impacts. But we're going to tell you, okay? You're not going to wake up on Tuesday morning and get ready to go to a doctor's appointment in Denver and go, well, why didn't they tell me they were blasting today? Okay? You're going to know. And if you don't, you're going to know who to get a hold of to find out. All right? Because we'll make our process better and make sure that you do know the next time. So the rock blasting, rock scaling, most of our work that needs a lane closure is going to happen overnight. All right? So when those times come up, again, we're going to advertise this stuff. Temporary lane shifts, we got to create room for the new lanes. So to start the project, we're going to shift all the traffic to the north. Okay, that opens up that whole area on the south side to start work. As we work through phases, we move traffic around again. Okay, again, we're going to communicate these things. We've got a great website. We've got a great PI team that's going to help us with all of this. That information will be out there well in advance. All right, we don't want you to be surprised when we start making changes on the highway. The periodic temporary on and off ramp closures, again, that's part of the lane shifts, part of the work that we need to get done. Okay, we will work through these things to make sure that we have a good plan in place and that it makes sense and the detours are as short as possible. Okay, not everything can be done in an overnight lane closure. Again, we're going to communicate that. Last couple things on here, like periodic overnight detours, temporary closures of the Clear Creek Greenway Trail. Sooner or later, I'm going to get that right. I swear I'm drinking water. Again, all part of what we're going to do to get this project done. We're just going to make sure that everything is communicated very well. So efforts to keep everything moving, all the lanes and ramps open during those peak traffic hours, you know, mornings, evenings, weekends. We get it. We know when the traffic picks up around here. So we're going to make that effort. I can tell you, I can think of maybe 2 occasions in 2.5 years on PPSL where we had an impact. And again, those were rocks that were out of my control. Okay, everything else, we had a good plan in place, and I think we executed, and we've got a great team to help us do that here. Ensuring the lane closures are responsive to current traffic patterns. Again, we're tracking these things. It's not old CDOT where we just say, we'll take a lane when we need to. We're watching the patterns. We have information that's within days. So our traffic group is really good at watching what's happening, updating models, and helping us be more proactive in what we're doing. The complex work above the roadway so it doesn't impede traffic. We're going to do some cool stuff with these bridges where you're going to be driving underneath and seeing the work happening. You're not just going to show up one day and all of a sudden there's a bridge there. It's going to happen while traffic's going by. And the new roadway sections being built adjacent to current lanes, you can see in some of the pictures as you go around to these boards, we're not building on main line for a lot of this project. We're going to do a lot of work off to the side and then put you on it when we're done. So the last slide I have here, CDOT safety efforts and the things that we're going to do throughout construction. We'll have emergency pull-off areas. Okay, we're designing that into the project to make sure there's safe places to pull off when we tighten these lanes up and squeeze everybody together. Traffic stops I've covered during the rock blasting and scaling. A lot of the construction activities are going to happen behind barrier. All right, so you're going to see it. You're going to see us working out there every day. Reduce speed limits. Everything's posted at 55 right now. I would say for a majority of these things, we're going to try to knock it down a little bit more just to make it safer for us. Coordination with emergency response agencies. We had a meeting just last week. I know I've seen a couple of folks here tonight and talked to them. Okay, we will have continuous meetings with emergency responders. All right, it's not going to be a knee-jerk reaction if something goes wrong because we're going to have planned it out ahead of time. We know the conversation I had with Sheriff Albers already tonight is about how's traffic going to get through on 314 if there's an emergency when we start our construction. Okay, so we're already coordinating this months in advance, talking about what the possibilities are and how we can plan and make sure we've got something in place. Lastly there, the notifications to our recreation groups. I mentioned the rafting community. I know how much they value that river. I'm a fisherman myself. I've been on just about every part of Clear Creek up here. I get it. There's a great bike path. This is a wonderful place to be able to recreate. I don't want to impact something I enjoy, and I want to take care of that for you guys as well. So we're going to do our job. We've got, like I said, a great communications group to make sure we're letting people know what's going on. So with that, speaking of the guy that's actually going to do the work and not just talk about it, here's Matt Hogan with Kramer.
Thank you. So I'll repeat it again. I-70 will be open during construction. If it's not, Jeff will call me and ask me why it's not, and then we'll work through that together. So one of the takeaways is we're going to keep I-70 open. Also, they asked me to come up here, I think, because to talk through a little bit of the scope, but really the designers in the room are probably better at it, but unfortunately I'm the face you're going to see for 5 years, so they asked me to do it. But we wouldn't get here without the designers, Tammy, Matt, Anthony, Kevin, Joe, all the people that are working tirelessly to allow us to get to construction. So thank you all for what you're doing. In the east section, though, just a couple of things that we've talked about a little bit already, but I just want to mention to make sure everybody understands it. Some of the improvements we're going to be doing there, we've mentioned that extra lane coming up eastbound. That's going to be an actual fourth lane all the way up and over the top of the hill so that trucks have a chance to merge at speed. I think that's a fantastic thing that's going to happen. The wildlife fencing throughout this corridor as well is just one of those big safety improvements, right? As Kurt mentioned, this project needs it for safety. So that is what we're going to do in the east section from 247 all the way to Soda Creek where it goes underneath the highway there. We are going to be adding wildlife fencing. So all those beautiful elk we see in the meadow, we're not going to see them on the highway where we don't want them. We're going to see them in the beautiful meadows and using wildlife crossings to safely cross the street. So we're looking forward to that in the east section. You can tell we are engineers as well because we use east, west, and central sections to decide to talk about these. So we'll have a contest at the end to see who can come up with better names than east, west, and central. We appreciate that. We need that help in our lives. But we are going to talk about them in order. So east section we mentioned we're going to start first, and that's really to set us up for the future of the package. By getting early phases of the east section done, by the time we start the central, we'll have traffic where we need it to be able to be expeditious in how we attack the central section. But the second part is the west section. And this is a fun section. It's right, ties into the Veterans Memorial Tunnels that Kramer had the opportunity to build 10 years ago. So we're thankful to be back up here in this corridor and working with this community again. But everybody that leaves those tunnels going eastbound knows exactly how tight that curve is as you go eastbound, or if you're coming Hidden Valley into those tunnels, you know how tight that curve is going in. Again, it's about safety, right? So we want to flatten those curves. That is happening all the way to the north, which is something we worked together with the designers and CDOT on early to find that alignment. And the beauty of that alignment is we don't touch County Road 314. So when County Road 314 is done later this fall with the improvements that are being made just past the water treatment center, that will be open during construction, right? So while I-70 traffic is using that and getting to where they need to go, we're gonna have better connectivity through the project during construction. So not only I-70 gonna be open, but County Road 314 is gonna be open as well during construction. So we look forward to providing that opportunity. The refinements we made through design helped us keep that as an opportunity there. The other nice benefit of the west section, for those of you that may live on the east side of Idaho Springs, there's gonna be a sound wall. So those of you that were kind of near where the old skate park used to be, across from there is going to be a sound wall that's gonna help mitigate some of the noise that comes off the highway into that area. So that's just another one of the improvements being made as part of this project. As we go into the central section, which is where all the really fun stuff, and it just takes longer to design, which is one of the other reasons we're starting there, this is where we really get to do the improvements. We're continuing all the lanes through that area. One of the fun facts that I think, and I'll use round numbers, is that currently there's about 80 feet of paved roadway in the central section through that canyon. We are taking 80 feet of paved roadway and turning it into 140 in the same space. That is not an easy thing to do, which is why we've chosen the alignments as Jeff talked about today. By building offline and getting things stacked above each other, we're able to build offline, move traffic to the correct location, and then continue the work, all in an effort to keep I-70 moving during construction. So we're going to improve all those curves through that area and then really complete that tie-in for the eastbound on-ramp in that area. And we're going to phase that work again so that we can maintain all the lanes of traffic during construction. And then as we finish it up, the beauty of being able to work right along the creek and the greenway is that we have an opportunity while we're there to improve the creek and the greenway and make that part of the community that's going to last. Anybody that knows that goes through there's a big steep hill that's pretty tough to walk. I get tired on it, so we're going to make sure those are ADA compliant. As we mentioned, get some better access down into the river sections for rafting, fishing. So Jeff, while he's working, he can just watch us with his fly rod, make sure we're doing things correctly. But we're looking forward to all those improvements and really continuing to be a partner with this community as we move forward. With that, I would like to turn it over to Stacia Sellers, the CDOT Communications Director, to talk a little bit more about other things as we move forward.
Great. Lower this significantly. All right, thank you everybody for coming out. As Matt said, I am the communications manager for this project. It's really my job to look at ways that we can integrate ourselves into the community more, support your needs, and bring your needs to the table with our project team. So during construction, we are going to be advertising various travel options to get more vehicles off the roadway. Margaret touched on this a little bit earlier, but we're going to be promoting the TreadShare app to have folks carpool, and then also we have the Pegasus shuttle, which hopefully, again, will get more folks into the same vehicle. Less vehicles on the roadway means improved traffic flow, and then hopefully after construction, this also changes folks' mindsets. So once construction is complete, you have more people traveling in one vehicle. That reduces congestion and also reduces emissions. You will also be promoting the GoI70.com website as well, so folks can start to plan their trips ahead of time, and that will be used in conjunction with cotrip.org. So we really want to make sure that everybody stays informed with this project. There is going to be construction impacts that we want you to know about before they happen, especially what Jeff was mentioning with the rock blasting. We will have text messages that you can sign up for, and we do have a board on the site on the side here as well, so you can write all of this information down. But those text messages will be sent to you prior to any impactful work, so you can help plan ahead of time and know to plan your trip around whenever we're doing construction impacts. We're not going to spam your text messages, so you're not going to get a text from us every day, only when it's the most meaningful. You will also be able to find all of our information on our website. We will also be sending out e-blasts as part of this project, so you can get project updates that way as well. And then we will have our hotline available, so we will have signage up with our hotline number, so you can call us at any time with any questions or concerns that you have, and somebody from our project team will get back to you. In addition to the hotline, you can also email us, and again, our project team will get back to you. We really want to hear anything that you're dealing with as a driver and as a resident within this community. Again, it's really a priority for us to make sure we're addressing your concerns, so this can be a positive project for all.